Say, man, you're in a privileged position right now. You're in a place to be. Matter of fact, a place to G.
Welcome, everybody. I'm your host, TKB. We're back with another episode of Bushleague Sports. I'm excited to be here this week, joined, as always, by my co-host, Trav NoSleep from Shredding Sassy. We're going to get into all kinds of hockey things. The hockey season's almost wrapping up. I'm so jacked up. My headphones are falling out. But we got a playoff race going on. We got Dallas Stars that are ripping it up. My Red Wings fighting for a playoff spot. I just got back from a nice little trip, too. I was in Edmonton, Calgary, all over, taking in a few games. Get into the Racshe Rice. I don't know if you guys seen that video. We got a clip from Barstool Sports put up. They're crashing Corvettes and Lambos on the freeway. I don't know how that's going to end for the Super Bowl champ. But I'm just so excited to get into another episode. It's been a week or two since we did it. And we're trying a new thing. We're going to pre-record it. But I'm going to bring up my co-host Sleep here, see what he's up to, see how things are going in his world. Brother, how you doing? What's happening, baby? I am jacked up to be here.
Dude, you look jacked up, man. I'm happy, man. It is a beautiful Tuesday morning here in Texas. I don't know when you're going to get this out, but I'm stoked as well, man. I just got back from a trip as well. I was in Arizona for baseball spring training. It was pretty awesome. So looking forward to touching a little bit on baseball. Man, yesterday we had something happen that has never happened before or hasn't happened this early in the season before. We had Ronel Blanco throw a no-hitter. So it was like, to happen this early in the season is pretty crazy. And it was the dude's like eighth MLB start. So really cool. Lots of good stuff coming with baseball, with hockey, basketball. March Madness is going on. Man, we got it all for you here on Bushleague Sports.
Yeah, for sure. I know we're going to probably touch on a little baseball here at the end of the show, kind of get everybody caught up with what's happening with the Ncaa, with the Sweet 16. I got a buddy who's going to be joining us in some future episodes to start giving us some 10-minute baseball clips. It's going to be pretty rad. But obviously, lots going on in the hockey, and the Racshe Rice thing is pretty cool. But I'm excited to get into all that with you.
Heck yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it. Let's go.
Say, man, you're in a privileged position right now. You're in a place to be. Matter of fact, a place to G with the one and only SNOOP. So what you gonna do now? Turn that shit up and let it bang.
Everybody that you fight is not your enemy.
Trenches.
And everybody that helps you is not your friend.
Free time. Nico Trenches, we train
And that's what life's gonna be.
Getting sacks on quarterbacks, you know we live. When you shoot that 45, you can know when it's inside. You better punch something. Keep your feet moving, dog. My 3-tech and 1-tech, they some real hard. My DN 6'5", he ain't got no flaws. Good grades, good feet, man, he got it all. I said a crazy up, he'll snatch something. Real aggressive jump, said he trying to grab something. If the old don't shoot their hands, you better jab some. You better stab some.
I'm here with the
snatch some. From the youth to the pros, we get it in. If you ain't watching film, you ain't trying to win.
So 25 of Bushleague Sports. Please remember, if you like what you hear, give us a like, subscribe on YouTube. Check us out on X, Media Bushleague, and Sport Bushleague. Check us out on Instagram and anywhere you take in your media. Remember, like, subscribe, check a friend, and check out bushleaguemedia.com today to get signed up for our digital membership. We're going to be doing all kinds of fantasy leagues and fun stuff, so check that out. Have fun.
Fucking bet against me. Bet against me. Tell me it's not going to happen. Tell me it's going to fail. I love it. I love every minute of it.
Cool. Well, guys, obviously I am just jacked to be here with Sleep here today. We're going to get into everything going on in the hockey world, everything happening with NHL, my Red Wings, his Stars, everybody in the playoff race. I think the Stars are second in the league right now. So just excited to get into that, see where everything's happening with the standings in the Ncaa, baby. And maybe tell everybody a little bit about my trip too. I had a good one. I was up in Edmonton to the Oilers jersey and down in Calgary and caught a few games. So it's been a fun week.
So you know what kind of hurts my feelings is you came down here for a Stars jersey or a Stars game, and you told me before you came down you buy a jersey at every stadium you go to, and clearly you got the McJesus jersey, the McDavo jersey there right now, but you didn't buy a jersey here in Dallas. Can you tell me why?
Well, you see, I explained that to you. I said when I was down there, there's not really any Stars players for me right now that like I would want their jersey. Like maybe you for a hometown guy for sure. Like I got nothing against Ben Sagan. But for me, when I think about Dallas, I think about like the glory days of like Belfour, Medano, those dudes. And that's the jersey that comes to mind too. So for me, that's what I was actually talking to my buddy Hot Dog. He was up from San Diego while we were going down. That's why I was on the trip. The LA Kings were up doing their Western Canada tour, Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, Winnipeg. So we were going to all the LA games. But no, I was telling him same thing. Like I'm 100% going to order one now that I've been to the Dallas Stadium. I'm going to order myself probably like a Medano with that kind of gold green style, and then hang it up. Like I have the right to do it. I have been in the stadium, but they're just for $200-300 the price they charge for jerseys nowadays. Like it is a lot of money. It better be a jersey that I'm just like absolutely stoked about. McDavid, I mean, you got to have one. He's one of the best in the game. Calgary, I didn't pick one up because I already have a Yager. I picked up a Yager jersey at the Calgary game quite a few years ago. It was the only game Yager scored a goal. So it's like Yager's got one goal with Calgary. I got a jersey from that game. So I'm pretty stoked.
I love it. So we'll get into it a little bit more. I want to talk about Dallas having the best top 3 lines, the best top 9 in the NHL. We'll get into that in a little bit. And I'll give you some insights on what jersey to get, because there's some up and comers in Dallas that are going to be there for a long time. They're the future Jamie Benns, the future Tyler Seguins, and the future Mike Modano. So Mike Modano got a statue out front, by the way. It just unveiled last week.
Nice.
But I'll give you some insights on what jerseys to buy and what's going to be happening in Dallas for years to come.
Nice. No, I love it. And obviously it's hard for me to argue with it. Your Stars are looking good. I mean, they're number 2 in the league. They're got on paper a solid team. They made a trade or two at the deadline to really like show their team like, hey, we're here to do it. Let's run, boys. So it's pretty cool to see that. And I'm going to bring up some stats here. Give me 2 shakes.
No worries. No worries. Yeah.
Alberta Hockey Adventures, baby. Let's go.
The East is pretty hot right now too, with New York kind of leading the way. Obviously the Bruins just kind of doing what they do. We've talked about it several times on this podcast. You know, the Bruins really losing a lot from last year. Last year, they were the President's Trophy winners, went out in the first round of the playoffs. This year was kind of up in the air, and this year they've just continued to dominate, continue to do what they expect them to do in Boston. It's been really impressive.
Yeah, well, and to the Bruins last year, I got to go to the first game of the playoff series last year when they played Florida. Thanks to Vayner Sports Pass, and they're a good friend of ours here at the show. I met up with one of their guys in Edmonton when I was down there too. But shouts to them. They gave me tickets to that game. I went down, got to enjoy that. And Florida was just so dominant last year, even though for Boston, they had the best, literally the most points ever in NHL history that year, an absolute on-fire team. But like Florida came in really, really hot at that time and just kind of stood on their heads. Their goalie played really well, and they were able to take them out round 1. But that was it was a fun series to take in. And I think a lot of people thought the Bruins were going maybe downhill a little bit. Obviously, Bergeron retiring. He's one of the best players in the entire league and just a legend. But, man, they're still ripping. Marchand's killing it.
For sure. Bergeron leaving, Bertuzzi leaving, Hall leaving. They lost a good core of their best players, and just kind of look at where they're at today. It doesn't even matter. Pasta is just doing his thing. The 2 goalies, man, number 1A and number 1B. It's Boston's really an impressive team. I was going to move over to, if you don't mind, I want to move over to Carolina and the Carolina acquisition of Jake Gensel at the trade deadline, and Jake coming in and just putting up points. Carolina is another impressive team to watch as we move into the playoffs. Who knows what's going to happen? The East, the top of the East is it's cherry for sure.
Well, yeah, it's 4 teams over 100 already. Panthers right there, like we were just talking about them nipping at Boston's toes, 1 point behind with 99 points. And then from there, you got a bit of separation. I guess the Leafs are close, but like the Flyers, Caps, Islanders, Red Wings that are chasing the Flyers and Caps for that spot, they're all kind of back at 80-some points. But the Bruins they keep doing it. And Swayman, I've had him in a few leagues. I didn't get my hands on Allmark, but in fantasy, and I've got lucky enough to have Allmark ripping, and he's been very, very good. And most people I know too, they're going to be in their league finals for fantasy playoffs or semifinals, like we are in the Bush League Dynasty League there. So we'll get into that here too, and try to help some people close out a championship at the end of this hockey segment.
No, I love it, man. I love it. What do you think about the Flyers? The Flyers just kind of coming out this year, coming out swinging, torts, doing tort stuff. How you feeling about the Flyers kind of moving into the playoffs?
I mean, I don't think they have what it takes to compete with some of the big dogs. For Torts, I mean, he's benching his captain. I mean, I don't know, like, if that old school shit still works like it's supposed to nowadays. You know what I mean? I don't know if the guys respond to it in the same method as back in the day, but it's like, he's your captain. You're like wrecking people's Iron Man streaks. And I don't know. I don't know what that sends to the team when you're like, hey, he's our captain, but I'm also benching him. Well, I don't know. Yeah,
it's pretty wild. I think that Rick Bowness went up to Winnipeg a couple years ago and did the same thing with Wheeler. Was it Wheeler? I don't even remember. But
Wheeler and Scheifele, one of the big boys.
Yeah. It was. It's pretty wild when coaches come in and do that. It's almost the same move as pulling your goalie when you're down 4-0 in the second period and all the goals where your defense's fault, or what I mean, your forward's not back checking or something.
No.
Not the goalie's fault at all. He just got hung out to dry, but you still pull the goalie and let the team know this is on you. This is on you.
Speaking of pulling the goalie, we didn't even talk about this in the pre-show little chat we had, but there was a playoff. Was it Minnesota? They pulled their goalie in overtime last week. And so they were playing 4-on-3, and I get the thought about it. Like, you're basically playing with a power play. You just, in your head, you're like, okay, I'm going to dominate the possession if I am 4-on-3, and hopefully we can get this win. Obviously you leave an empty netter, but I had no idea that if you pull your goalie in overtime and you lose, you forfeit the point, which is a crazy stat that I didn't know. Did you know that?
I had no idea. Until that happened. And I still don't know all of the details around it. What if it goes to a shootout and you lose in a shootout? Do you still lose a point there?
I would think not, because like your goalie's going to be playing in the shootout then, right? Like,
I don't know. It's wild. It's wild for sure. I had no idea that was.
It's a ballsy
but it makes sense.
Though. Like pulling your goalie in overtime. Like, I get it, but I would never do it. I mean, I get the 4-on-3 advantage, but to just leave your net wide open for the other guys to tuck. And who are they playing? I wish I knew. I wish we would have. I wish could remember. But they just tucked in all the way down the ice, wide open net, right from the red line, and that's the win. And that's the win. But that was probably a much needed point for them. So kind of, just a crappy way to lose that point, right?
For sure. Absolutely. I almost think, I get it. I guess coming down to crunch time. Playoff time, if you're really confident in your team, you really need that 2 points. I guess I get it to be kind of pushing, but I don't remember the details of it. What's interesting is sometimes I feel like a 4-on-3 is almost better than a 5-on-3 due to spacing on the ice. You know what I mean? A 5-on-3, yeah, you're moving around. It's a little more crowded. 4-on-3, I see a lot more goals in 4-on-3 action than I would. This is me. I don't know. There's not a whole lot of 4-on-3 action that happens. But I would imagine spacing there is a lot better. You have a lot more movement. I get what you're saying. I mean, you'll see teams that still like pull their goalie at the end and make it 6-on-5, and they still got a bit of an advantage even with 11 on the ice. I would personally say 5-on-3 should always generate more scoring chances than 4-on-3, just because, I mean, you can just really work those D-men and like confuse the hell out of them. Absolutely. It's more calculated for sure, less rushing.
We'll look into that for next week and see the stats, because I know like you pulled a cool stat back during the football season of like players with their turf versus non-turf injury. Maybe we'll have to figure out the stat on this and see if there's any relevance to it.
The only stat they're going to really have is overtime penalties. You know what I mean? Overtime penalties is like the only time where 4-on-3 really happens that often. So it'll be kind of interesting. It'll be
for the
interesting to
most
see
part
what stacks
nowadays.
come out of
Back
that.
in the day, you used to get a little more of it because there'd always be guys like fighting in double minors, and you'd be all kinds of guys sitting in the box, and then you'd see it a bit more. Now there's not as many of those like wild like match penalty 5 minutes guys like just half the team sitting in the box like back in the day. I wish it was, but looking at the standings here too. We're just seeing the East there that we're talking about. Obviously, Boston and Florida locking their spots up at the top of the Atlantic, Metropolitan, New York, and Carolina, like you were saying. And we touch on it for a second, but that Gensel acquisition, that's big because there was a talk of, where might Gensel go this playoffs? Is he going to be a guy that moves a lot of teams looking to acquire him? And a big play. I mean, he was really good in Pittsburgh. It's interesting to see Pittsburgh move on from the young player in Gensel and keep all the old dogs and Letang, Malkin. Crosby, I'm sure is staying because they locked up his two pals to long term, and bringing in Carlson. They're just a team of old dogs in essence, and they got rid of Gensel, which is not who I thought you'd get rid of personally.
Crosby is Malkin's not doing a whole lot this year. I actually went and saw them play in Dallas a couple weeks ago, and Malkin actually looked pretty good. Crosby, this is the best he's looked in a long time. Crosby's always looked great, right? But this year, man, he's been pretty special out there on the ice. He just doesn't have the supporting cast he used to have. They have the old dogs, they have a bunch of young guys, and it's just not clicking the way you'd like it to. But one interesting stat about Crosby is that Crosby is looking to hit his 19th year as a point per game player. 19th year, and that will tie Gretzky as the most years as a point per game player. And I think he has cool. either completed it or needs like 4 goals in the last 8 games or 4 points in the last 8 games to make it happen. And that's a pretty astounding stat. Sidney Crosby's just a great steward for the sport, and maybe he's got a couple years left. Whenever he does go, it's going to be sad to see him go.
Yeah, well, at the very least, it's going to be nice that Bettman, that plug, finally lets the boys go to the Olympics. Because, that's one thing. That's probably a reason he's holding on to a big too, right? Is because these guys haven't been able to represent their country in quite a few years. I was listening to a Spit Chicklets podcast the other day, talking to some of the young Finnish guys. He's coming up on 30. He's never been able to represent this country in the Olympics, aside from like the World Juniors, right? So I think for a lot of these guys, that's a big thing too. And I whether you want to believe it or not, Crosby's a competitor. He's going to be there to try and win a cup at all times, and he's having an outstanding year for sure. But I just think that there's a good chance some of these guys are like, you're going to see a lot of them leave the league after this Olympics. Personally, I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, that makes sense. For people to hold on just a little bit longer. You mentioned the Finns. It'll be interesting to see what kind of team the Finns can put on the table in 2026. The Finns are strong right now. They are strong all over the NHL. They're going to give Canada and the US a run for their money. That's for sure. That is 100% for sure.
Love it. Well, and then going down that list a little bit above those top couple teams, Toronto's obviously on a buzz. Matthews with 60 goals. Very, very impressive. You see like McDavid, I think he's just coming up on 30. Obviously he's getting a lot of points, but going to be crazy to see if Edmonton can catch Toronto in the standings after how they started this year. We'll get into the West in a little bit, but 60 goals is a feat, man. Don't care what anybody says, like Toronto or not. That's a big one.
So I saw a Coach Chip episode the other day, or a Coach Chip where Bertuzzi got hot for a little while, and Matthews was not putting anything in the net. He was sitting on 59 for a little while, and Bertuzzi has been, his stick's been hot. And there was an episode where Coach Chip was telling Matthews he's got to take the oven mitts off his hands because his stick's not hot anymore. He's got to give the oven mitts over to Bertuzzi because his stick's too hot to hold. But anyway, dude, good to see Matthews do that. It's good for Toronto. It's good for hockey. It's good for Arizona to have this kid just constantly putting pucks in the net.
Yeah, no, he's been ripping, man. That's for sure. Every year. It was crazy. The year he started, 4 goals game 1. It's hard to forget that night, right? But then you got Philly, like we said, we were talking about them benching their captain. One of the other teams that's chasing it, obviously, Toronto's got a bit of a lead on those guys. It's more Philly, and then below that, you'll see Detroit, and right below Washington, Tampa in that wild card race. Those are kind of 4 teams fighting for it. There would be, Tampa, Washington, Philly, Detroit, Tampa, again, a few points ahead of them by 4 or 5 points. But getting down to it, I mean, the wings, obviously we got Patty Kane, we got the boys. Let me get the wide angle. You know, we got the wings jerseys here, but let's see if the boys can rally and get some dubs, because they got hot for a while. They were ripping. Patty Kane started out slow, but now he's almost going a point per game. And yeah, he had a beauty overtime shot the other night, bar down. I mean, it was just absolute money.
That slapper from the from between the dots, man. It was pretty. It was pretty.
No, for sure. But Obi's coming on strong though. Like the Caps are, I think 6-3-1. It said there in the stats in their last 10, and he's actually, like, for having like 5 goals in the first 20-30 games, he might touch 40 this year. I don't know how many he's at right now, but I think he's only 50 away from Gretzky now, or just under. So he can do it in a year, maybe. If he has a big year next year, he could actually maybe do it in a year. I know a few weeks ago, we probably weren't saying that. We were like, he needs at least 2 years. He's 60-some goals away. And then all of a sudden he's just rifling. So it's cool to see Obi doing his thing.
Yeah, I should have checked before I jumped into this. I think that he's probably just a hair under 30 goals this year. But yeah, I agree. Last I saw, I think he was 46 away from Gretzky. So yeah, he can definitely knock it out next year if he comes back. And like you said, the beginning of this year, he struggled to put the puck in the net. Most of his goals. Oh, I just hit the mic. Sorry. Most of his goals were empty netters. However, you know, this second half of the season, he's really turned it up, and you know, happy for him. I'm bummed that Crosby and the Pens aren't in the playoffs, because I'd like to see that. But happy for Ovi, happy to see kind of, you know, these legends of old now still doing it for their teams, and their teams looking to make a little run when it counts, when it all counts.
Yeah, and obviously Stevie Y, it's been fun to see him rebuild the wings. One thing that I was saying, even to my old man, was down visiting the other week, and I don't think a lot of people realize is, and maybe I realize it more because I'm a Red Wings fan, but they basically got screwed back, quite a few years ago, when Kronwall, Zetterberg, Datsuk all kind of left within a year's time frame, and all for free, right? Like Kronwall, he was injured, kind of had to retire. Zetterberg basically had his spine surgery and had his back issues. He had to retire. Datsuk wanted to go back to Russia. And basically they gave him the pass to go back and play in Russia. And all of a sudden you have a team that loses their captain, assistant in a matter of a year for absolutely nothing, right? Like you look at, say, Chicago, who, like, their big dog Patty Kane. I mean, at some point they got to move him, get some prospects, get a pick. And most guys do. I mean, Crosby's a guy who Pittsburgh might not get that. He might just play there till the end, retire at one team, loyal to the end. But you see a lot of guys come to a point where when that team gets a little bit stagnant, they're going to move on. That team's going to get some capital. And Detroit just, like, literally just line one, gone. And you get nothing. That's hard to come back from when you don't get 2 or 3 firsts and a couple prospects. And so I just think that it's been cool to see him build the team back up. Obviously, bringing in Kane is good. I hope he's going to re-sign and stay with the Wings. Him and Larkin have been looking pretty good. And I think, I don't know if they got what it takes to do it this year. I hope they get in, and maybe we can get lucky, win a series or two. You got like a guy like Austin Spare coming in on the back end, kind of relieving a little pressure off the young guys and helping piggyback that power play for the Red Wings. So see what they can do. But first of all, they got to get in, right? And so they're going to have to get hot. They're 4-4-2 in the last 10, and the boys are going to need to get it moving and get a couple points on the board, get ahead of at least Washington or Philly, and try to get in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Larkin he's one of my favorite players in the league right now. I don't see a lot of Detroit games, just kind of based on my location. I would like to watch more because, you know, growing up hating Detroit, you know, now I'm a fan. I'm a fan of what they're doing. And like you said, they're doing it from nothing, from the, 2009, 2010, 2011 days to today. They're building back.
Yeah, no, for sure. And even from before that, like this jersey from this one's Shanahan signed 1998 Stanley Cup champ. So they were doing it for a hot minute because everybody's like, oh, doesn't it suck the Wings have been in the playoffs for this long, that long? I'm like, honestly, like, well, of course it sucks, but they were in the playoffs for 25 years straight, the longest streak in sports history. I can take a little downtime, especially when we lost our 3 best players for nothing.
Sure, absolutely. And Pittsburgh's coming up on that now. With only the old dogs, there's gonna be some trouble in Pennsylvania there with Pittsburgh, and we'll see if they can kind of do something similar to what Detroit did.
Right on. Well, obviously we covered the East. Before we get into the West, I want to give a shout out to a few of our sponsors. Thanks for everybody that helps us with the show, keeps this thing moving.
Shredding Sassy is a social club for action sports enthusiasts from all over the world to share the love and stoke for action sports. We got chapters in Canada. We got chapters in the US, in Europe, in Asia, in Australia. We're all over the place bringing action sports to communities near you. We got discounts. We got live events. We have anything you want from an action sports perspective. So tap in with the social club. Get things like coaching from pros. Get access to pro athletes at events, in person, right to you. It's going to be a great year for Sassies, and we want you in the social club. Join the Sassies, and let's get out there, y'all.
So obviously in the West here, Sleep, your team just dominating right now, right? Dallas is crushing it. They've made quite a few big moves this offseason, bringing in, offseason. Heck, we're in the middle of the season. We're in a playoff race. Jesus, get my words fumbled. But brought in a few good players. You got a guy like Stankovic and stuff coming in as another young guy. It's like, is he going to be like Robertson when he came in and just like, where the hell did this guy come from? And he's just absolutely dominant. I want to know your thoughts on your team because they're worth it right now. You better, as I always say, people always laugh at me. They're like, oh, why do you always beak so much when you're halfway through a match or in a battle? Well, once you're losing, you don't get the lip. So you got to take the glory while you're ahead. That's the way I see it.
Sure. No, that's a good point. And you did say in the offseason, that move for Duchesne was a move where Duchesne was struggling in Nashville or just not putting up the numbers he wanted to. Came to Dallas, got put on a line with Mason Marchment and Tyler Seguin, and those guys are on fire. Coming into the season, we knew that Dallas had a strong team. We knew they were a little bit weaker on the defensive side, but strong all around. And then, as you said, at the trade deadline, we brought in Ncaa from Calgary, who came in and immediately shored up that defenseman, him and Ryan Suter. Now, I've never been a huge fan of Ryan Suter, but this year Ryan Suter's play has stepped up. I haven't checked his plus minus this year, but the Stars are really coming into form as we go through these last games of the last games of the regular season. However, the Stars aren't the only ones coming to form right now. Colorado is, Vegas is, Winnipeg is, obviously the Jersey, you got the Oilers are. So this year, the playoffs are going to be the best they've been in years, in my opinion. I think that, as you were showing on the other side, the gap between the top teams in the East and the ones that are looking to squeak into the playoffs, that gap's pretty huge. The West Coast, I don't know, or the Western Conference, I don't know if the gap is the same, but it feels that way for sure when you look at the caliber of these teams.
I think the Blues are more in that range at 84, and then there's a big drop off at the bottom, but the Blues are just on the outside. I think you got 87 points with the Kings right now, sitting in 8th. I can bring it up 1 second. We'll take a peek. But there's somewhere in there. Let's see where so the Kings are sitting at 87, just on the outside. St. Louis at 84. And then you kind of got down at 79 points. Minnesota, they could have had 80, but they pulled the goalie and gave one up. But no, it's cool to see. It's like you said, it's a little more competitive.
But looking at Nashville on that list, Nashville was not in this run. They won 14 in a row, went 14-0-2, and all of a sudden, what's that? 30 points in.
Well, at one point they were talking about
games.
I think at one point they were talking about like Dylan Saros, right? And I think now they're looking at it like, thank the good Lord. And speaking of Lord, happy Easter to everybody last weekend. But thank the good Lord we kept him, because they are absolutely on a run right now. And I know Saros has been helping some people in fantasy, which we'll get into that in a little bit, how to help you guys win your fantasy lineups, get that last week or two in your playoffs, get that dialed in. Maybe we'll touch base on Racshe Rice, that big accident on the highway there. So we'll get into all that a little bit. But no, it's been interesting to see Nashville, like you said, go on a big run. Not quite that Oilers run where they won 18, 19 in a row, something like that. That was pretty crazy, but it's been wild to see some of these teams go on these heaters this year.
The Stars have the Oilers this week, and that's going to be a come to Jesus game, I think, for both teams. We're going to see who's ready for the playoffs and who's not, who is all in, and what's going to happen. I was saying earlier, the Stars are operating with 3 number 1 lines. Their top line is Pavelski, Robertson, and Hintz. And Hintz hasn't been putting the puck in the net as much. They call it the Avengers line. Captain America leading the way. Joe Pavelski, that'd be a jersey to buy if you wanted to. But
that would be one I would have considered.
But Robertson's in his 3rd or 4th year. He come in at the end of the season in 2021 and had a great end of the season. His next year was a finalist with Kirill Kaprizov for the Cadler. Just a monster of a player. But looking at their number 2 line, we talked about Duchesne, Seguin, and Marchment. Marchment wasn't putting pucks in the net at all last year. All it took was bringing Duchesne in, and now these 3 are clicking. I think Dallas has the most 20-goal scorers in the league right now. They don't have anybody at the top, but they have a load of people right above 20 goals. And then that 3rd line is Jamie Benn, Logan Stankoven, and Wyatt Johnson. Wyatt Johnson and Logan Stankoven are both 21 and under. Wyatt Johnson was a true rookie last year. His first year in the league coming from juniors, put up some numbers. He just scored his 30th, I believe. And then Stankoven, I thought Stankoven was better than Johnson for the longest time. Now it's hard to judge. Stankoven went back to, I'm going to say a name of a city in Alberta, but I'm not really sure. So Stankoven played for the Blazers, and I believe it begins with a K, like Kalama.
Kananaskis?
No.
I mean, there's Kamloops, Kelowna.
Kamloops.
Yeah, that's not Alberta. That's BC.
Oh, my bad.
But yeah, I don't know. That's close. It's close. And again, and a quick shouts to Daily Faceoff for giving us that quick lineup, as well as ESPN. We've been using some of their stats and stuff there, so I want to give a shouts to everybody who's given us some things to pull up, because over at Bushleague Sports, we're a 2-man show, so we don't got time to put up all those stats. So thanks for giving them to us.
So Stanky came up when Segi got hurt recently, and I mean, it was always coming. He was leading the AHL in points. The dude's just a monster. He's 5'8". He's tiny. He's tiny out there, but he's ripping around out there. Strong as an ox and putting pucks in the net. It is really impressive, and he's going to get to be a rookie again next year. So it'll be interesting to see. He's playing, I don't know what the rookie limit is. Maybe it's like 25 games or maybe it's 20 games, but he's going to come in under that mark for this season. So he's going to be a rookie again next year. So if you're placing your bets for Cadler trophy winner for 2024, 2025, put your money on Logan Stankoven. You heard it here first. You
love it, baby. Love the call. And I love when a guy's team's on fire, because I mean, the energy is better, right? Going into playoffs, you're excited. You're like, this could be the best year ever. Like if it was the exact same standings, but Dallas was in 9th, you'd be like, I don't know, like it's okay, whatever. So I love it when a guy's team's hot. Really gets the juices flowing. Shout out to local weather. I'm going to crush me a little beverage while we're in here, but obviously getting back to that, can't just talk all stars. Avalanche absolutely just kind of chipping at the toes. Obviously, we got McKinnon, who's one of the best players in the league, just coming on fire at the same time. They're 7-2-1 in their last 10, and they are moving right along. I would say everybody calls the Jets a bit of a fraud, but they're getting a bunch of points too right now. But Avalanche that's the team the Stars got to worry about, I'd say.
Yeah, I think the Avalanche are going to be a force to be reckoned with. Last year in the playoffs, they were knocked off by Seattle, I believe, and that kind of cleared a path for some other teams to make some runs. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this year. Obviously Seattle had a little bit more of a down season, and they're not looking at making the playoffs this year. But anyway, the Avs are going to be tough, man. The Avs made some moves at the deadline, as did all of the top teams in the West. It's going to be a wild playoff.
And maybe it's not a bold call or anything, but I'm going to say it now. I think the 8 teams that are in the West are the teams that are going to stay in the West. I don't think we're going to see Seattle or the Flames or the Blues or anyone sneak in. I think it's going to stay the 8 teams that are there right now. So top down, like I said, your closest coming behind it is St. Louis with 84 points, and then you go all the way down to Minnesota 79. So St. Louis has the best chance if LA, gets slumping or anything. But as long as they can stay half consistent, we shouldn't see anything change too drastically there. But one of the big things is Obviously Vancouver came out. There's just absolutely hot, like crazy. And the Oilers started with like, what were they, like 1-12 to start the season? Like it was bad. It was looking like the whole team was about to blow up. They were all going to quit. Who knows what was going to go on? And then you had Thatcher Demko standing on his head, like just the best goalie in the league by far, I would say this year. He's just been playing outrageously good. We see him on IR for a bit. Now he hits the long-term IR, and we see Vancouver slumping a little bit. They're not as good without that number one all-star Tendy. He was kind of standing on his head, I think, giving them a chance to win every single night. And now you see Edmonton chasing them 5 points behind. They're right there, right? And it's pretty interesting to see McDavid and the boys come running up on them like that. And will they catch them by the end of the year? I think that'd be pretty impressive if they do. And I think as long as Demko stays out, chance it could happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to discredit goalies. You know, we see a lot. I mean, you're a goalie yourself, but we see a lot of young goalies come up, and goalies get thrown in the playoffs and just excel, just crush it without it being expected. Look at Vegas last year. So who knows what's going to happen? Demko is the greatest in the league for sure. Or at least top three. And
Hellebuck and Bobrovsky, sure. Yeah, I would say him, Hellebuck, and Bobrovsky have been the top three this year. I was lucky enough to draft Demko and Bobrovsky in my fantasy league, and they carried me most of the way. Now I'm trying to fill that Demko void, but we'll get into that in a second too. How to wrap up your fantasy leagues and get that win here in the next little bit before we transition over to some football and a little bit of basketball, baseball here in a bit. But want to wrap up the West, so I don't know if there's much more to chat about, but whatever you think's coming, I don't know. Do you think Vegas can make a run at it and come back and get another one? Obviously, they're kind of cheating, right? They're just like got the whole team on IR here, kind of sneaking in with the salary cap, kind of the same move that Tampa did the other year. I don't know if you got any thoughts on that, but they got a few guys. I think Stone, Hurdle. If those guys play the whole playoffs, I mean, it's cheating. I don't know what else to say, but it's not cheating because it's within the rules. So.
Yeah, right. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Right? Is that how it goes? No, I'm kidding. It's not cheating. It is the game. And like you said, Tampa did it multiple years. And I think Vegas did it last year. They did it last year with Stone. I believe same thing. Stone was out from the trade deadline. Don't quote me there, but I know he was out at the end of the season, came back in the playoffs and pushed him over the edge. So
yeah, and I mean, I think it's a simple thing to solve and fix, right? Just basically like, you either make it that it has to still count on the salary cap, or they can't play. And I think that you see teams push the limit a little more like this, and we will see some kind of rule change probably come into play in the next few years if they keep doing it, or if Vegas wins the cup and Hurdle and everyone's in, they're like 12 million, 16 million over the salary cap. I think you'll see a few people crying, but for now, it's the way of the law of the land.
Everybody knows. Everybody has an equal opportunity. It's an equal opportunity cheat. Everybody can do it. Vegas.
Do you got any calls then for the West? Do you think it's going to stay those same 8? That's going to be the squads.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see if St. Louis got in. That would be a big pump for the Central Division, putting 5 in the playoffs. So if St. Louis got in, that'd be pretty interesting. Nice. Nashville, watch out for Nashville. Nashville's got everybody in their sights. They're going to be coming in as the 7 or 8. Watch out for Nashville. Love it.
And then I know I said I didn't expect any changes going on over in the West, but in the East, I'm expecting a change. And what I actually think is going to happen, I think Tampa, Washington, Detroit, all going to get in. I think it's going to be Philly on the outside in the end. Personally, that's just my thought. They're 1 point up on that, but a few games in hand. Detroit's got one more game than them. Washington, Tampa both have 2-3 more games than them. So to me, it's really Detroit, Philly fighting for that last spot, and we'll see if the boys can rally and get in and give me a little bit of a playoff run this year. It'd be fun, even if they only make one round. Cool, but you get into the playoffs. We got Patty Kane, the #1 American player of all time. He will be electric if the Wings get in the playoffs. And that MF alone could change the series and potentially help us maybe get on to round 2. Who knows? Which would be big. If the Detroit Red Wings got to round 2, I think that would be a successful season, in my humble opinion.
Absolutely. Again, look at Florida last year, coming in as the number 8. I think they were the number 8 last year and making it all the way to the Cup, taking out Boston in round 1.
Right on.
It can definitely happen.
Well, I'd love to chat a little fantasy, get some people dialed in for their lineups here before we transition over to sports. You'll see above Sleep's head there, there's a little QR code. You can grab that, head over to bushleaguemedia.com. You'll be able to check out our digital membership, all kinds of stuff. Maybe, just maybe, that might get you access to come be guests on the show with us one day. We're going to have all kinds of other fantasy leagues we're firing up. So you're going to need one of those membership passes to be able to come and play in fantasy leagues with me, Sleep, some of the boys, and they're free. So go over, sign up, and check that out. I'd love to have you on there. Bushleague Media, bridging blockchain to business. We're going to be bringing you all kinds of things from different shows, from BamBams Fitness, Bushleague Sports, even a crypto Web3 show, interviewing all kinds of different people from that space, bringing you up to date on all things going on in the Web3 world, anyone else doing fantasy sports action, and finding ways to work together to bring as much utility and adventure and fun to everybody as we can in the Web3 community. So please tune into what we're doing at Bushleague Media. Come check out all our shows. Get a digital membership. You can participate in everything we're doing today. I am so stoked to do this with everybody. We got a crazy 3D art project dropping soon. So please head over to bushleaguemedia.com. Sign up now. All right. Well, let's transition over to a little fantasy sports quick sleep. We'll get her dipping. We obviously chatted about your team there, the Dallas Stars, and their lineup they had. But I want to bring back up the daily face-off. It's a good thing that I use for fantasy sports, personally, just a good lineup thing. Because one thing I know we chatted about in some past shows is, especially when it comes to playoffs for me, I'm all about getting man games, getting the most players you can have playing on your fantasy team. Because a lot of these hockey things, you're tallying shots, you maybe tallying hits, some leagues, maybe penalty minutes, this, that, and the other thing. So it's really cool to try to maximize the amount of players you can have playing each week. And so one tool I use big time is this daily face-off weekly lineup. You can go in, check week to week, see, it'll tell you which week you're at, and see who's playing where. So when I look at this, and I know a lot of people, I think most fantasy leagues, everybody's going to be either in their final or they're going to be semifinals. And so either way, when I look at this team, we've already had Monday go by. We're on Tuesday. I'm looking to the teams that, are played 4 games. And it's a pretty busy week in the NHL as we near the end. So everybody's playing 4-3 for the most part. Vegas is actually the team that I'm going to be avoiding for the most part with their 2 games. Oh, shouts to, we get a Trump promo at the bottom. Not Bush League endorsed, but either way, nothing wrong with the man either. So anyways, we got all this happening down at the bottom here. And Vegas, to me, if you got Vegas guys in your team, what I'm doing this week is I got a couple lower tier players like Roy and McNabb. Like they're good, but fantasy wise, they're a little down. So what I'll be doing is playing them today and then actually dropping them just because there's only one more game the rest of the week, and then loading up on some guys that are going to have 3 games left after today's done. But if you're looking for some guys today in your lineup, or, depending on what day this comes out, if it's Tuesday or Wednesday, Thursday, whichever, you're going to be wanting to grab probably this range here. These are the teams I'm really eyeballing: is Minnesota, Montreal, Nashville, New Jersey, because they all got 4 games, but they haven't had one on Monday, right? So they still got 4 games left to play. Those are the teams that I'm going to just try to target some guys. If you got a couple guys that are only playing 1 or 2 games, or they're slumping and not really a staple to your team, I'm going in, trying to grab some of these players, load up, and ideally get a few man games. The best option might be to trying to pick some easy teams, or grabbing some goalies that are going to have a back-to-back because they're going to be playing their backup there. But just really chasing those extra games. And for you, you're probably just going to stack Dallas Stars and tell everybody to go that route. But I'm a big man games type of player.
No, it makes sense. It totally makes sense. Looking at Edmonton, they're probably one that you want to pick up. Oh no, they had a game on Monday, so that makes sense. The latter,
yeah, it's still good. Yeah, and I mean, even if they played a game, they're still going to have 3 left. One thing you always want to do too is, like, you want to look at your own lineup. Like some of these busy days, you get a Tuesday or especially Saturday, a really busy game in the NHL. You might already have your lineup full, where it's like, okay, now that picking up a player that plays on that Saturday, I don't actually get the game. So even though there's 3-4 games, I can't even tuck this guy in my lineup. That's where now you might come and look and go, okay, well, on this really, really busy day, where everybody's playing on a Saturday, my lineup's already full. What can I target that's playing around that? And you go, look, I got openings on Thursday, Friday, Sunday. Maybe your centers are all full. So it's like, hey, I got to target a left wing or a right wing. Now you come and look at maybe a team like Carolina. And again, that's why I love this little daily faceoff tool, because it's just like so easy to use. But okay, they're not playing on Saturday, but they got Thursday, Friday, and Sunday games. That's, to me, a good move to target, because you can now maximize filling your lineup. Because if you're picking up a guy that you got a bench, that's not gaining you anything anyways, right? So you just can really, sometimes it takes 5-10 minutes to sit around and really dial that in, flipping back and forth between your lineup. But that's, you want to win money. You want to get the glory. You want to look at the boys at the end of the season and say, hey, I am just absolutely better than you at fantasy hockey. Then you got to put in the work.
One question.
Luckily, we'll help a little bit at Bushleague Sports. We'll get the boys dialed in.
One question. What do you do when you have a team like Columbus with 4 games and you have a team like, just a higher level team with more people putting the pucks in the net with 3 or less? Are you still looking to Columbus, whose, top players are already on a roster somewhere? Are you still looking to them for more man games, or are you kind of saying, all right, well, you guys are lower tier, you're not putting the puck in the net as much, maybe your goals for average is 2.5 or something like that? Are you bumping up to the teams that are a little better with less games?
I would say it depends on the league you're in and how it's going to shake out. But for the most part, those good players aren't going to be available anyways. You're probably kind of taking the bottom of the barrel scraps. And so for the high scoring team, those bottom of the barrel scraps might be their 4th line player. Whereas the low scoring team, maybe you're getting a 2nd or 3rd line player because nobody's really interested in them. Not that that changes anything, because they're still low scoring. But to me, I think you're going to get the same caliber no matter what off the wire. So in that situation, it's like the guy playing 4 games will probably get more shots than the guy playing 3rd, because I think you're going to be picking from the same caliber of player, if that makes sense.
It does. No, I appreciate that.
Well, yeah, so that's a big one. And then one thing I like to look into too, and I'll just pop that up before we move on to Racshe Rice. Lots going on with that, and obviously with the Ncaa. But one thing I'll always like to do too is sometimes as we close up, just take a peek into that next week too, right? And see going ahead. Look at Boston's got 2 games. So sometimes too, you can pick up a guy who's going to really help you this week. Is he going to do a little bit for you next week where you can get a bit of an edge, maybe get a game or 2 out of them? And so you look at the Bruins. Well, that's, they only got 2 games. So maybe I don't want their bottom guys if it comes down to a Bruin or a Seattle guy. Well, depending what moves I need to make for the next week, it might be better off to have the Seattle guy over that 4th line Bruins, because they're getting 2 extra games. And so just a lot of sides to it, but that's what we're going to do here at Bushleague Sports. We're going to be putting blogs out. Again, just go ahead and check out that website. I know we pulled the QR code. It's up above Sleep's head. We're going to start getting some blogs out here about halfway through the year, especially into next hockey season and stuff, and just map that out for you. Basically tell you, this is who to pick up, you bozos. You don't have to worry about it. We did it for you at Bushleague Sports.
I'm interested to see how often you pick up a player, you put him in, he's a 3rd liner, and he puts up some points. He puts up some points for you that week. How often are you married to him now that you're like, ooh, he can do it again? He might only have 12 on the year, but then you're like, oh man, he put up 3 points this week. This was a great week for him. And then you're like, okay, I love him. I'm keeping him in it. And maybe it's a bad choice. Maybe it's a good choice.
That happens, especially when you have a really strong team and you only have 1 or 2 players that you're swinging around, and then you get a hot guy. All of a sudden, you don't want to move him because you don't want your opponent to get him this or that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I almost like making sure I have 2 or 3 or 4 guys that I'm not stuck to, so that when that happens, I'll be like, okay, I'll hold this person for a bit and I'll shuffle some of the other players. Sure. And that's kind of how I play it.
I love it, man. I love it.
Cool. Thanks for everybody. Again, just tune in anytime. Come reach out to us on socials. Get involved in what we're doing. We're going to have some fantasy hockey leagues in the future. Fantasy football is going to be big again this year. But again, just come check out what we're doing over at Bushleague Sports, and we'll chat with you in a few minutes. As always, this show is brought to you by Bushleague Sports, a division of Bushleague Media, bringing you up-to-the-minute sports news, Maybe not up to the minute, maybe up to the week, whatever. But we're bringing you fun, we're bringing you laughs, we're bringing you good times. Hosted by myself, TKB, and NoSleep from Shredding Sassy. We're going to be here for a good time every week. Make sure you check out BushleagueMedia.com. Go get signed up for our digital membership. We're going to give you access to all our fantasy leagues, fantasy football, fantasy hockey, Shredding Sassy, pick'em leagues for snowboard and skateboard events, and all kinds of other fun stuff. So please head over to BushleagueMedia.com and check it out today. All right, everybody, welcome back to Bushleague Sports episode 25, Alberta Hockey Adventure. I'm going to tell you about that hockey adventure here at the end of the episode as it's in Alberta touring around. Obviously, we just covered all the hockey things. But Sleep, there's some action going on in your area down in Dallas. Maybe not the kind of action that we were just talking about with hockey, but a little bit of chaos going on, a bit of a car accident. A Super Bowl star, Racshe Rice, rookie, is getting in a big old accident down there. I want to know your thoughts on that, if you've heard that or what you've seen about that in your area.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, man. Local boy, Fort Worth, Texas, over to SMU, drafted by the Chiefs, just had a solid year for Kansas City. You know, Kansas City went on to win the Super Bowl. It's pretty wild. So I've seen the footage. I've read the stories. I mean, it looks like he was in one car. They were racing. It was a Lambo and a Corvette. They get tied up on the interstate, and that's when the chains fall off. It gets a little wild, man. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, thankfully, nobody seems like nobody's like severely injured. I know we had an accident back a couple years ago involving one of the Las Vegas Raiders players, and that didn't end well. But no, I know we got a clip here. Barstool Sports posted it. If we want to run through that really quick, we can take a peek at it and see what we think about the old incident. But it's just crazy to see these young players just getting themselves into trouble when they got the whole future in front of them and doing some silly things, and you hate to see it. But I just, like I said, glad everybody's kind of came out of it in one piece, it seems like.
Yeah.
The right view. Here we go. Again, shouts to Barstool Sports for this video clip. We'll take a peek. Some dash cam footage. Obviously, you see the vet, the Lambo racing there. They go crashing into like 3-4 vehicles, take out a family van, 2 or 3 other vehicles. And in the video, you see him kind of stop there. Along the side of the road there. There a couple guys getting out, kind of wandering away from the scene a little bit. So whoever caught that on dash cam kind of probably screwed their day over there. But man, I don't know. Like, I know that video goes on a little ways, and all the guys are seen walking away from the scene. I know you had heard maybe they took the vehicles, so I can't speak to what exactly happened. But from what I know, I'm pretty sure they left the vehicles at the scene and kind of tried to flee. There was talk of they were maybe grabbing some guns or bags or something out of the back. I don't want to speculate. I wasn't there. So you know, Bushleague Sports, we like to have some laughs and discuss what's going on. We're not gonna make up rumors on this situation, but from what I've heard, they were kind of fleeing the scene, trying to get out of there, and that dash cam's probably going to be what ruins them.
Yeah, kind of interesting for sure. So I believe that you're right. I believe that the vehicle stayed. It's not like they got the vehicles out of there. I kind of, as we went through this morning, I did a little bit more digging into it. And one of the cars was either leased or registered to Rashid, whether it was Lambo or Corvette. Rumor has it, or at least what the stories are being reported, is that Rashid was driving the Corvette. Again, that remains to be seen. However, you know, why get out of your vehicle and run? In my opinion, why get out of your vehicle and run when a vehicle is registered to you? It doesn't make any sense to me. If there were things you had to get out of there, maybe you get them out and you stay with the vehicles. I don't know. What's your take?
See, I mean, I believe otherwise. I believe that without that dash cam there, I mean, you're going to try to get out of there. I mean, you know, hopefully the statute of limitations lets me out, but I was once a young fella with a fast sports car who might have had a beverage or two. And I don't condone drinking and driving, but you know, we were all a little crazy a decade or two ago. But I've been in a situation where I'm like in some trouble. I speed the hell out of the way, park the car, run away, may or may not have got away with a thing or two by just simply being able to plead the fifth of like, I have no idea how my vehicle got there. Nobody's seen me, nobody anything. In this age now, 20 years later, dash cams, cameras everywhere, not so lucky. But I've literally got, because what can they do? They have no proof I was there, no anything. So in this situation, I feel like if you can just get away, walk away, leave, you can like claim ignorance, but my vehicle got stolen, this or that, who knows? I bet you that's exactly what was going through their head at the time is let's get out of here, pretend I wasn't even involved and claim victim. But in the end, that dash cam, I think, is going to ruin them because they were there. Clear as day, your vehicle was not stolen. You are on video walking away from it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we were all 23 once, we were all 22, 19, you know, and I was an idiot for sure. I did dumb things. So I don't want to, you know, just crush this guy because everybody does dumb things.
I'm with you. Like I've stupid things, so it's hard to hate him.
But you're an NFL a star. You're an NFL star. Eyes are on you all the time. You got to find balance. You got to figure out a way to carry yourself properly in public. So that's neither here nor there. You know,
well, you hate to see it. Like if there was guns and stuff, that's the one. Like it's the racing and that I can forgive it. Obviously, easier to forgive when nobody's been hurt because I've been there. I've done that. I've been young. I've had a fast car. I've wanted to pin it. And sometimes you learn lessons the hard way. But it's was there guns? Was there the drinking and driving? Was there that part? Because that's the part that is unacceptable, especially the gun part. You are a professional NFL athlete representing a Super Bowl team with you just won the Super Bowl in your first year. You got everything in front of you. You will be set for life if you just kind of half behave and don't go to jail. So I don't know why they make some of these decisions.
Some of the reports coming in are really interesting. It says, you know, the police are on the hunt for Rashid. And then other reports say that, you know, Rashid has come out, or at least his team has come out and made a statement saying that
attorney has done something.
Yeah, it came out and made a statement saying, you know, I hope everybody's good, glad nobody was hurt. You know, we're working with the police. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Again, this is developing news. This is, you know,
breaking
a day
news,
old.
Bushleague Sports, look at us.
Yeah. So we're going to find out more as even today unfolds. So again, you know, pray for the families, you know, for him, hopefully, you know, hopefully nothing crazy happens. I know the NFL has declined comment. I'm sure the Chiefs have declined comment. So we'll definitely see as we run through this the rest of the day today and into the rest of the week.
Nice. Yeah. And obviously we'll get into NFL a lot more coming up to the NFL draft here. I think we want to really focus on hockey as we transition towards the playoffs, all that. I know we're going to be doing our fantasy NFL rookie draft in about 35 days. So that'll probably be featured on one of our future shows. So looking forward to that. But obviously, you know, just sucks to see that happen to a young guy, get himself in trouble like that. And hopefully he learns from it. And that's the biggest thing is hopefully the young man can learn and realize why that wasn't right. But I know you're going to have to go here in a little bit. Give a shout to a couple of our sponsors and maybe get into a little basketball quick.
Let's do it.
Alien Friends, building the biggest group of friends in the metaverse. We want to give a big shout to Alien Friends. We use their character and IP in everything we're doing. Go check out what they're doing. You can get yourself some friend coin, participate in all their raffles, different experiences and stuff they have for all their holders. A really fun, cool project, lots of IP potential. So please go check out Alien Friends today, alienfriends.io. I want to give a shout to SBS Fantasy, Spoiled Banana Society, a Bored Ape Yacht Club project. They are bringing you fantasy right on the blockchain. You get to draft your team in best ball style at the start of the year. Draft as many teams as you like. Set it, forget it, let it ride, and have some fun while using the blockchain to bring the space forward and have all kinds of fun with fantasy sports. So please, go check out today what our friends at SBS Fantasy are doing with their best ball fantasy league.
Oh, get it. What the fuck you waiting on, man? Let's go. Yes, sir. Death row.
All right, well, Sleep, I know you're going to be a little more dialed in on the NCAA basketball than my Canadian ass. You guys are pretty avid with your college sports down there, but obviously the big tournament's going on right now, and I want to know your takes on it with what we got going on in basketball with the Final Four. I think there's something like 0.0007% of brackets still have a chance, so we'll see if someone can pull that off, maybe win the war at Buffett Billion, but been a big game, two of the number one seeds going all the way and a couple upsets along the way.
Yeah, it's been a wild tournament season, upsets all over the place, but that just seems to be how the tournament is. All bets are off when it's time for March Madness. We're down to the Final Four. I'm hoping next week when we record this show, we'll have played through the whole thing, but I'm really excited for the Final Four. We got UConn and Alabama and NC State and Purdue. Final Four going down in Phoenix, man. I would have loved to be over there. I actually missed the Elite Eight South game. NC State versus Duke was actually here in Dallas.
Nice.
Was it yesterday? It was on Easter. It was here in Dallas, so Sunday. And I'm bummed I didn't get to go down there because that was a monster of a game. DJ Burns, NC State is just a phenomenal player, and he is a big boy. He's 6'9", 275. He is thick and he is smooth, man. That guy can put buckets up, buckets on days, man. It's absolutely insane. So for this game, though, coming up, Purdue, number 1 seed, NC State, number 11 seed coming in on their sides, respective sides. Purdue has this guy named Zach Edey. So if you don't know college basketball, Zach Edey is a 7'7" monster. He is a 7'7" monster. He put up 40 last game against Tennessee. He put up 40. So for him to be battling it out with this big, thick, smooth DJ Edwards, and in the Final Four, it's gonna be a game to watch. So that game goes down on, is it Saturday or Sunday?
It's Saturday. I think the semifinals are, and then the finals Monday.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the game that I'm most excited about. I'm less excited about Alabama, UConn, more excited to see DJ Burns versus Zach Edey. That's going to be the game to watch. And who knows what's going to happen, man. It's going to be wild for sure.
Nice. No. Well, that's good. That's good. I'm glad to have a bit of an uptake. If anyone's watching, who you betting on? Are you betting on the number 1 seeds? Are you going with Alabama with the upset, or North Carolina State? Where's your money? Where's your money lying this week?
So I got to put my money on Purdue to go all the way. Zach Edey, the dude's just a giant. He's a monster. He's big too. He's not like a skinny 7'7". He is 7'7", 300 pounds. The guy's a big dude. Getting the ball to him in the post, man, he puts it in. It's going to be tough for anybody to compete with that. I'm excited to watch, man. I want you to watch the game. I want you to watch the game. I will. Find it on Canadian TV. I'm sure they have it somewhere.
I popped on 1 or 2 of the games. Like I'll throw it on as some background and check it out. But just like any sport, when it becomes finals, I always tune in so I can learn and dial in. So we'll have a few takes for everybody next week, and see the 6 or the 7-foot giant here. I'll get a scout on him.
Man, 7'7", he's huge. I guess he was like 6 foot in 7th grade, 6'6" in 8th grade. He was a baseball player, Crazy. Just raking. He was a pitcher. And then, when you grow like that, he started having mechanics issues, troubles with his shoulder, troubles with his elbow, went to full-time basketball and
started playing some b-ball.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see kind of how his career develops, and, destined for the NBA 100%. So it'll be fun.
Love it. Well, thanks for the take. Thanks for the update on the NCAA tournament. Appreciate that, Sleep.
Yeah, absolutely.
We want to give a big shout out to our pals over at VSP, Vayner Sports Pass. They are changing the way people can interact with athletes through their digital membership program. Simply go buy yourself a hat, any hat, $50. You're going to get yourself not only the hat, but 125 points to the Vayner Sports Pass ecosystem.
Introducing Vayner Sports Pass Rewards, the first digital sports rewards membership program. Members of the VSP Rewards program can enjoy sporting event experiences in their local area, redeem unique sports collectibles, gain exclusive access to professional athletes, and more. How does the VSP Rewards program work? Every few months, a new reward season will release, where members can purchase a new unique item, granting them more VS points. Additional point multipliers will be awarded for those that hold Vayner Sports Passes in their account. More VSPs equals more VS points awarded after purchasing the unique seasonal item. VS points are the off-chain currency used in the VSP Reward Shop that allows members to redeem and bid on sporting events, custom items, and exclusive access. Head on over to our website to get your VS points.
Experience everything Vayner Sports Pass has to offer today. All right, guys, we're back for the last little segment of the show here. We're going to just chat a little bit of MLB. Obviously, we had opening week here this last week. I'm going to have a friend of mine coming on in the future, too, my buddy Balin. He's a really avid baseball fan. He's dialed it on the stats. So I think he's going to be joining us in the future for some 10-minute segments, kind of actually dialing us in on some real stats. Me and you are just going to give some Bush League takes because we're not all that dialed in. But still, opening week's always fun. It's 162 game schedule. I get pretty bored, so I'm like entertained for about 8. And then I get bored for about 140, and then I care again, and then I watch the playoffs. I don't know how.
Yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. We're pretty avid baseball fans here, but I mean, there's a lot going on, and you'll go days without seeing a game or knowing the standings. I just checked the standings, and I'm like, God, the Giants have lost a couple in a row, and I missed it. I didn't even know. But yeah, it's the start of a season. I went down to spring training 2 weeks ago. Nice. It was a blast. If you have not been to spring training in either Florida or Cactus League in Arizona, recommend you go once in your life, hit a few games, have some fun. They're beautiful.
Is it just a party? Like, what is it? Is it just a party? What's going on?
No, you just get to go see a lot of baseball. You get to go see a lot of baseball. You get to hop from stadium to stadium. They're all in, either the I want to say like the Tampa area of Florida, and for baseball, or just south of the Tampa area of Florida, and for the Western teams around the Phoenix area of Arizona. And I mean, there's just games every day, multiple games every day within, 20 miles of each other that you can just kind of bounce from stadium to stadium. It's just a blast. The food's great. The people are great. Everybody's there having a good time. You get to see the prospects playing alongside the pros. It's really, really cool.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's fine. I know I got some friends that are really big baseball fans that, they really enjoyed. It's never been my huge thing, but it's something that will probably happen in the future. And obviously, as a Canadian kid, we only got one team. We got the Jays. They got to win on opening week. We'll see what they can do with that young squad. They obviously still got Bo Bichette and Vlad and the team. I think they brought in Justin Turner, another Vayner Sports athlete, to the squad this year. So that'll be interesting to see if the Red Machine can help the boys, take home some dubs. But they got a big 8-2 win on opening day as well.
Yeah, man. Great for the Jays. We'll see what happens with them. I know that they dealt Chapman. Chapman's gone. Chapman's now, he's their third baseman. It's now in San Francisco, starting third base. San Francisco got Snell. Dude, the Yankees start off the year 5-0. It's going to be a wild season. And, how could it get any wilder than an opening week? I don't know if we're still in opening week, the week after opening week, no-hitter with Ronel Blanco hitting that, throwing that no-hitter yesterday. Fastest no-hitter, of a pitcher and start. So I think this is his 8th start in the MLB, and to throw a no-hitter in 8 starts is,
and especially this early in the MLB season, it's awesome. And then I know there's a couple games in extra innings. Last year's champs, the Rangers, went to extra innings and they got the win in their first game of the season. I know, that was their first title last year. They got that new stadium. I got to check out when I was down in Dallas visiting you. I went by the stadium right beside AT&T there. And cool stadium. So I guess they're probably jacked up that they won while they're in the new building. But, nice to see them get a dub on the first one. Is, who are they playing again last year in the final? Diamondbacks, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
And speaking of Diamondbacks, how about that for an absolute Bush League beatdown?
Say, man. You know the best part of waking up is not giving a fuck? Well, you do now. You got this Big Snoop DOWG, Therefore mixtape, and this is for you. Yeah.
Bush League Beatdown! Brought to you by Bam Bam Boxing. Check out the workouts today.
Tell me about it.
The Diamondbacks, man, what a beatdown, right? Obviously, shouts to Bam Bam Boxing for sponsoring that bit. Big shouts to him and what he does. But, man, that was an absolute dummy. 16-1. They come back with a vengeance. They're like, man, we lost the World Series. We're just going to beat the pants off the first team we play. 16-1. So, we'll see. I guess they're going to have to keep that up now all year, baby, if they want to have another run at it.
So it's wild. The NL West has the Diamondbacks, they have the Dodgers, they have the Padres, and they have the Giants. Like, it's just the poor Rockies are just going to struggle all year. They're just going to be getting beat down by everybody. NL West is the best division in baseball, in my opinion, right now. With the Dodgers, the Dodgers are going to be tough for anybody to touch.
Nice. Well, no, obviously, thanks for that. Anybody with baseball, we're going to get a little more into it as the season goes. My buddy will be joining us each week and give us his little takes on what's going on and actually give you some useful stats for your fantasy lineups with baseball as well. But again, shouts to that. Obviously, just had a trip to Alberta. Went to Oilers game, Flames game. Had a fun time. Shouts to my friend Nate Hot Dog. I met him many years ago down in Vegas, actually same place I met Joel, our fitness guy there. Met him through the Ellis Mania events. One of the few Americans that was a big hockey guy, and me and him kind of really hit it off back in the day. Maybe allegedly we both enjoyed to smoke a little weed, and then we both enjoyed hockey. So we've kind of been good pals. He's been playing in my fantasy leagues for the last 10 or 12 years. And he finally come up. He's a big LA Kings fan. And I'll post a couple pictures, but we went to the game in Edmonton, went to the game in Calgary while the Kings were up here. He went to the Vancouver game first. So he got a win in Vancouver. And then my Canadian ass joined him, rocking my Oilers jerseys, rocking my Flames jerseys. And he didn't get no wins in Alberta. So he probably left a little grumpy. I was kind of rooting for, like, I would cheer for the Canadian teams when they were scoring and rocking it in the stadium. But I told him, like, I'm rooting for the Kings. I got no dog in this fight. I hope your team wins while you're on holidays. But my boy didn't get too many wins. He only got 1 out of 3.
So tell me, what stadium did you like better? Do you like the Saddle Dome better, or do you like what's it, Rogers? What's the?
I mean, that's my first time being at Rogers. The first time being at a game in Edmonton. Great stadium, just absolutely huge. Not a bad seat in the house. Absolutely beautiful. So it's hard to hate that. We had great seats up top, could see everything. It was awesome. Saddle Dome's one of those ones I'm going to miss when it's gone, because I like those old stadiums. It's old. It's a little smaller. It's unique. There's a little homey feel to it, but I mean, it's hard to beat Rogers. That's a state-of-the-art, world-class. Like, it's a great building to be in, for sure.
Was the sea of red just popping off still, even though struggled a bit, but this
for
year,
sure, yeah, they yell "C" really loud and "red" really loud when we sing the American anthem in the building, and they that's just their thing. But no, it's always popping in there. They're going. The team's a little slacking this year, so it's not as exciting. Obviously, they traded away Tanev, but no, we had a lot of fun. We were just. I don't really drink a whole lot, but I think we drank for about 6 days straight. Went to every good restaurant we could. Went and had supper down in an igloo again. I know we mentioned Vayner Sports earlier, but my pal Cal from Vayner Sports, he's one of the guys on their team, especially on the NFT side of things. He helps with a lot of their dev work and stuff like that. He's became a good friend of mine through going down to some of those VSP events. He came and met up with us in Edmonton, and we went and had some eats, went to the game, and had a good old time. Speaking of which, I'll rock the VSP hat next week. I got a few cool hats from Vayner Sports Pass, but no, it was fun to link up with him and everybody. Please check out what they're doing over at VSP. Pretty cool. You can go buy a hat, get yourself 125 points, and be able to participate in what they have going on over there. So shouts to that. But no, it was a fun trip, man. Just lots of booze, lots of times I went snowboarding, got in a couple clips. Maybe I'll clip a clip or two here. I had to go hit at least one jump, see if I could huck a 3. I landed it. I didn't get hurt, and I was like, I'm good. I'm getting old, and if I can still do one of them, I'm happy. So maybe we'll throw up a clip to prove I'm not lying, and then obviously get down to Tahoe in a bit. You guys are Shredding Sassy. We'll be doing the Shred Fest April 420. So I'm looking forward to getting down to that. And I don't know if you want to tell us anything about that to close out the show, and then we'll catch all you babies next week.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, man. Shredding Sassy's having a party. Lake Tahoe, California, Auburn, California. We'll be there the 18th, 19th, and 20th of April. The 19th, we got a skate event going down at Auburn Skate Park, a skate jam. We'll have pros, we'll have amateurs, we'll have people there learning, coaching, vendors, prizes, all kinds of fun stuff. From there, we'll roll over to an art party where we have NFT artists, live artists, photographers. We'll have drinks again, pros. It's just going to be a blast. And then on 420 is our on-hill mountain event at Kingvale Resorts in Tahoe. Kingvale is a terrain park, so it'll be a fun rail jam type atmosphere where a bunch of different community members from all over the US and world come to have a good time with the Shredding Sassy community. So we're really stoked about that, dude. And I'm stoked about this show. I love the new format. This has been a great one. We talked about football, we talked about hockey, we talked about basketball, we talked about baseball. Man, it's been a good time. Nobody I'd rather be doing.
First time we did just spend an hour talking about the same thing. And same to you, buddy. I appreciate doing this with you every week. It's always fun. It's always a good time to have you and the Shredding Sassy crew join along for this. So I'm excited to do it, and can't wait to get down to Tahoe, link up with you again here in a couple of weeks. And until then, I guess we'll be back next week and hopefully have a couple fun stories. We'll have an update on the Racshe Rice incident, and maybe we'll have a better look at that NFL playoff standings and see how that's going into the playoffs.
Yeah, man, it's going to be good. Thank you very much, and I'll see you out there, dude.
Appreciate you, brother. Till next time, everybody, stay Bush League beauties. As always, TKB here, Bushleague Sports with my pal NoSleep from Shredding Sassy. We'll be back next week with some amazing, fun, cool updates, and I just can't wait to do it again. As always, appreciate you guys. Make sure you get one of our digital memberships, get your hands on some of those coins, and come join us live. We're also going to be joined live by someone who participated on our fantasy leagues last year next week, so I look forward to that conversation. But until then, have a great time. Stay Bush League, you beauties.
From the bottom, ain't no half-stepping. I'm the dog, I made it through so they don't ask questions. Long Beach, and it ain't no half-repping. Once a dog, always a dog, so they don't ask questions. From the bottom, ain't no half-stepping. I'm the dog, I made it through so they don't ask questions. Long Beach, and it ain't no half-repping. Once a dog, always a dog, so they don't ask questions. Tell them never question, dog, I'm sitting ghost status. Eating chicken with my gin, smoking on some cabbage. Used to pedal on this
moment where you skate down the street and some shit for brains yells out of his window, "Do a kickflip! Do a kickflip! Do a kickflip!"
And house shoes, they know how the dogs do. Skinny, heavy pockets, the West OG. Came across the globe, say they don't know me. Been applying pressure from 8 to 24 like Kobe. Mr. Hall of Fame used to bend the corners with strollies. Had to lay the blueprint, they rolled out the carpet. Anything I wanna own, I got my own market. Blew this, blew that, everything beautiful. Still ain't sold my guns and I still ain't had to use them though. Was once a hard head, now I'm counting blessings. I made my own way, still they don't ask questions. From the bottom, ain't no half-stepping. I'm the dog, I made it through so they don't ask questions. Long Beach, and it ain't no half-repping. Once a dog, always a dog, so they don't ask questions.
This is some straight, hey.
This is, oh gosh.
I got thin to smoke it.
Once a dog, always a dog, so they don't ask questions. I can't name a thing that I didn't have step. From the streets to movie screens, been getting bags and checks. Get the solid, you won't hear me with no bad rep. Legendary Crippin' made it happen, and that's on the set. Still rolling on gold things, I'm a boss. Go get it, what the fuck you waiting on, man? Let's go.
Blaming on my mom from all the tripping I see. Blaming on my grandpa, all the hustling.
Yes, sir.